the first Dragon spacecraft. This is actually the first commercial spacecraft to ever orbit the Earth and successfully re-enter. Before this spacecraft, the only people who had ever done it were the United States, China, and the Soviet Union or Russia.
Right, this is like what everyone had to take SpaceX here.
How's it going, Andrew?
Their coverage they're doing for this is fantastic.
Oh my God! I mean, it tells me I got to assume they're fairly confident. Look at the way they're laying everything out, giving you the exact timeline on everything on there.
Yeah, I mean, they're always competent. It's just that how they've progressed from. I think it's just that is how they're building as they get more attention. And am I garbled or is that you? That's a.
Well, I'm hearing what sounds like room mic. I don't know if you're just far away from your microphone or what.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm afraid, but yeah, your signal's coming through like.
Yeah, it's a little chunkalicious on my end too, but it looks all right. Here, let me here we are.
Let me just I was watching the SpaceX feed on my computer too.
Sure.
Let me just cut that out.
And I'll
Yeah, this is like it looks like 1999 video here. I don't know what's
it's not that bad on my end. Here, I'm gonna get us let me add one more shot here. Remote desktop presenter source. Oops, not that one. Nope, delete. Ah, crap.
Yeah.
No! I just caused this thing to crap the bed. And we are alone in the void. However, we are still transmitting, so sit tight. We're going to start this up again. Okay, so here we are. And if I were to... Well, here. Undo. Let's add shot. Set it to this. Crop it appropriately.
In the backs of those trucks to make sure they get to the place that they need to be in good condition. But in order to do this, Orbcomm must provide them with continuous coverage or a constant signal from the satellites to the receivers on the ground and do it globally. And this is where their orbit comes into play. Falcon 9 is going to launch these 11 satellites to low Earth orbit, which in this case is about 620 kilometers high, which is approximately the distance from LA to San Francisco. So while that may be close, it's certainly not easy. Satellites in low Earth orbit have to move really, really fast in order to keep up with the curvature of the Earth as they're orbiting, to avoid deorbiting and crashing into the planet. In fact, they're going so fast that they make one orbit in only 90 minutes. So for a single satellite in low Earth orbit going at about 8 kilometers per second, as it zips past its receiver on the ground, it loses its signal. Hence the 11 satellites, which are forming what is called a constellation. With a constellation, as one of those little satellites zips past, there's another one right behind it to pick up that signal to provide that continuous coverage. And with these satellites being strategically placed around the globe, they can provide global coverage to their customers. These 11 satellites that we're launching today are going to join the 31 others that are already in Orbcomm's constellation on orbit, which includes 6 that Falcon 9 launched back in 2014. So we've been with Orbcomm for a while. They've been a great customer and a great partner, and we thank them for this launch today. So now that we know our rocket or our mission objectives for today, let's learn about the rocket. We told you about this upgraded Falcon 9. Process Improvement Engineer Kate Tice is going to tell you more about what we've done.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Tim.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for taking time to tell me things. I have a lot of questions.
No problem.
I've been told there's upgrades to the Falcon 9.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because it was already a really rad rocket.
So thinking from top to bottom of the rocket, we've extended the second stage as well as the interstage. We now have densified propellant, liquid oxygen. We also have a 33% increase to our performance.
It's taller, it's a longer rocket.
Right.
Why?
We have extended the size of the second stage because we've decided to add more propellant to that engine. So we have extended the length of it as well as extended the skirt of the engine itself.
Okay, right, so it's the skirt.
Yeah.
I've learned things. So the skirt is what I've been calling the belly.
Yeah.
All right, so the Falcon 9, it's the Falcon 9 because there's 9 of these.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang up
But then
can't
there's the
see,
secret
and it's all coming in
10th
garbled.
engine,
Yeah.
Because the second stage has one big engine. Why is it bigger than the others?
Okay.
Whenever we are ascending through the atmosphere as we launch from planet Earth, we have to escape the pull of gravity. So we need lots of engines tied together to help us do that. Once the second stage and first stage separate, first stage will come back down and re-land. Second stage will continue on. At this point, it's already in the vacuum of space, so the engine has to be a little bit different to
Any
operate
better?
in that new environment.
Well, I heard the background audio is really loud, and it's coming through garbled, so it's making it harder, but I can't see you at all.
Thing I didn't understand. All liquid oxygen
Huh.
is really cold oxygen. So
The air
cold
you breathe.
that it's liquid.
Yeah.
And you need to take it with you because there's no oxygen in space, and
Yeah.
making it liquid allows you to take 1,000 times the oxygen per volume. It's 1,000 times denser.
Yeah.
But then you said in the upgraded Falcon 9, the oxygen is colder. So what does that
Right.
mean and why?
We had chilled liquid oxygen before, also known as LOX. Now it's super chilled. So it's a lot colder than it was before, allowing the molecules to pack together tighter, and therefore allowing us to take more of those oxygen molecules with us into space.
So still liquid,
Yeah.
but closer to the freezing point then.
Yes.
This is so interesting and so exciting. Thank you.
We're at T-minus 8 minutes and 23 seconds and counting. We're still go here at SpaceX headquarters for an on-time launch. Earlier, we had a go-no-go readiness poll at T-minus 38 minutes. That's where the SpaceX launch conductor guaranteed.
Just call me. Are you still trying to fix something on your end, or?
No, I mean, everything seems to be
and load
working
propellants.
okay on this. Oh,
We're now
on this
inside of
end.
10 minutes.
Well, I'm going to
We're
restart
opening
Skype.
the
Oh,
right now,
I'm
so
sorry. I
can't
just
see
hold
you.
on one second. I just
Then
realized.
Also, the background is so loud.
Wait. I just realized that when I reboot it, or don't wait. You can just leave.
Liquid oxygen is continuing to load on the second stage. We'll finish liquid oxygen loading somewhere between T-minus 3 minutes and T-minus 2 minutes.
There we go.
Now we load propellant from the ground storage tank through umbilicals. The first stage gets loaded through an umbilical that plugs into the base of the first stage. You can't see that on the views that we're showing you on the camera. The second stage is connected with an umbilical that comes from the erector
Sorry about that, guys.
over to the base of the second stage. In a few minutes, we'll see the erector recline away from the Falcon 9. You may get a view of those umbilicals. We've got
much
liquid
better.
oxygen,
Oh, great.
helium,
Yeah,
fuel, and
apologies.
electronics, all going to the base of the
In the
second
restarting,
stage.
I forgot to enable one of the
Currently on the
outputs.
spacecraft side, the Orbcomm spacecraft have transferred to internal power. Nothing left to do between now and launch. The range continues to be go. Weather continues
So
to
have
be
you been
go
following what they
also.
talked about as
We've
far
got
as the
final
the
balloon
colder
data at
liquid
upper
oxygen?
altitudes.
Well, I saw that they were
west.
saying that by taking they have to take their own oxygen and they're able to cram a lot more of it in there. Is that be colder, super cold liquid?
Yeah, it is. It is much. It's probably the coldest that anybody's ever tried for a launch.
I would not have thought that that super cooling. I thought once you hit liquid, that's about as compact as it was going to get.
Guess not. Cryo fluids is new to me too, but apparently, and I didn't. It's another one of those things that the SpaceX engineers are like, hey, you know what we could do? And they're like, well, that's not done before. Like, yeah, why don't we do it? And they're like, well, you have, once you make it colder, you have a lot more sealing problems and things like that. It makes it more difficult as far as you trying to do that. But they're like, yeah, well, if we solve those, then it's a good thing.
So
they're like, yeah, that would be a good thing.
I wonder. Do you think that that the near success of the fact that they were able to at least get the previous incarnations to land on the drone barge was part of I assume it's a big deal that they got permission to use this old decommissioned landing pad.
Yeah. Hey, I'm what's going on, Dad?
Who, me?
Yeah, it's on. It's on. It's my dad.
Oh, got it.
Live streaming right now with Brian Brushwood. Say hello.
Hi, Andrew's dad.
He says hello. Yeah, it's still on in like 5 minutes.
After launch, so it's pretty quick from the time we lift off to the time we land. I've always looked at what we're about to do here.
Let
as
me
one of those
call you
things
and get you the report.
that people will always remember where they were the first time they heard SpaceX landed a rocket, and it's going to happen right there.
Well, I'm getting some clouds up here.
That's amazing. Hey, can you send me video, Andrew, or are you worried about messing up?
Oh, I thought I sent you video. Oh.
No, not yet.
A very weird job.
No, I have. No, it looks like
You guys just do this all the time.
I was
there it is.
on and then I just reset it. There we go.
Yeah, now it's coming in.
And in fact,
brought up the time right now. We're actually about to start retracting that strong back.
So what's really cool here is that these people, most everybody except for the guy who's I think the podcast or whatever, these are SpaceX people. They've been talking to people. These are people working for the company, talking about the technology.
Dude, can you imagine the energy there at SpaceX right now? It's like this has to be. This is like waiting for the lottery. I mean, if they land this thing, it's going to be maybe the most significant commercial advancement in spaceflight. I mean, proof of a reusable multi-stage rocket. That's huge.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying on Weird Things. We've been 5 years now.
I mean,
we've been beating this drum. And it's exciting though, because you go look at like the Reddit, if you go to reddit.com/SpaceX,
yeah,
there's a great community there, and they've done a really good job of updating and keeping things going. And I remember like driving up like with Justin to go watch a SpaceX launch, when there was just a handful of people there
that even knew or cared what SpaceX was.
It's just getting the word out, and that's what's exciting. It's not that like, oh, we were cool because we were into it. It was just that we heard about it, and as more people hear about it, they're getting into this.
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like they understand the context of what's so revolutionary about this and what's so ambitious about it. Man, this is...
So those of you tuning in, the launch is scheduled for 5/29. It's an instantaneous launch, which means they have to press that button and launch it then, or push till tomorrow, where they'll have a 15-minute window. So right now they're retracting the tower, which means that,
it's good news.
It's good news. Unless, well, I don't want to do any Star Wars spoilers. There's a scene. We're watching something very similar to something we saw.
You can step on it if it's full.
And if you haven't been following the SpaceX coverage over time, it's really evolved considerably. We listen to a lot of the SpaceX engineers and people who are actively on it. They're not just photogenic hosts; these are actually people who work for SpaceX doing this, which is it's great. If you're a 17-year-old kid right now and watching this, it can maybe change what your career path is going to be. Maybe don't go into humanities; it's overdone.
Although on the flip side, it's like, do you really want to get into the sciences knowing that the robots are just going to do it better?
Somebody's got to build those robots, Brian.
That's true. Dude, this is electric. Let me see if I can get the kids up here. Hey, Penny. SpaceX is 2 minutes away from launching potentially their first reusable rockets. They're going to try to land it onto a launch pad.
Copy that on WinLoads.
So we're at
LD verify, go for launch.
Loads look good.
Dude, 1 minute, 26 seconds.
And the landing will happen 10 minutes after, and they're going to have coverage of the pad.
And that's the other thing. I wonder how much of that was like, hey, man, let us land it on the pad. We can at least get it close to there, and we could get good footage of the whole thing. I mean, just the fact that we live in a world where all of this is live streamed at all times is just, I don't know. I'm sure our grandparents said the same thing about the moon landing.
Yeah, as they watched it on the internet.
Well, no, I mean, as they watched on live TV,
Yeah. No, Brian, they didn't have the internet then. You're wrong. I think that it's there were some really significant launches then that really changed our ideas of what happened. And the two most exciting things that happened in the first part of space travel, Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin, happened. We found out about them after the fact. Once they're these things worked. No, we didn't kill the guy, so we can tell the world.
Yeah.
T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds! So, Penelope, just so you understand the context, they are. This is the first one since they lost a rocket, and their goal is to have, for the first time ever, the first stage of the rocket, the big booster. Normally that falls into the ocean. This time it's going to try to land vertically on a pad so they can reuse it, and if so, that would be huge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff with Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is clear the tower.
So I'm going to tell you, I was watching that launch last time. That kept getting moved until it was really, really early in the morning on the West Coast here. And when all of a sudden we had signal out, that was just...
Is it Slade? It just killed you?
Oh, and it's like, no.
Well, and I'm wondering, I love all this UI stuff. Where
Isn't that awesome?
It's all the raw telemetry just feeding right into an easy to parse. Man, it's doing 600 kilometers an hour right now. That's amazing.
Yeah, in the feed I'm watching, it's already at 1,000. It's time shifting.
Wait, say that again?
I refreshed it so I caught up. So
that's hilarious. Yeah. So if I see you howl, I'll know something bad's happening.
Burst into tears.
Should I refresh it and see if I can get an earlier feed here?
This is Michael Hammersley, materials engineer, and I'm going to talk you through some of what you're seeing and hearing as the vehicle continues to ascend.
You see the thing they call it max Q is when it hits the atmosphere at the hardest point, and that's when there's going to be the most stress on the rocket, and that's what we're approaching right now. Structurally, whatever things tend to break up at max Q, which is where this is going to at this point.
Got it.
So we just passed max Q. That's why you heard the cheering coming from there, was because that's the point at which it's that forward-facing impact just reached the highest point.
Man,
as the rocket is increasing in altitude and there's less pressure.
Yeah, like what he just said.
Yeah.
This is already.
Okay. Man, this is all just holding your breath time, isn't it?
See my dad. Hey, can you see it?
Shortly after main engine.
Yeah, well, it's still going, and if you want to watch it in a couple minutes, go inside to SpaceX. Go to SpaceX.com or our site. And you can see if they land it.
Downrange distance 11 kilometers.
In minutes.
Cool. All right, let me get back. That's live coverage from Florida from my father, and they just did separation of the second stage. All right, cool. All right, you'll see the glow as it comes back down. Cool.
Wow, yeah.
Sweet separation.
That's great. So now the stage to watch is stage 1, right?
Yeah, so that first stage, second stage is going to go on to that higher altitude. It's going to take off with the Orbcomm satellites. Now, second stage is going to do its drift back. We saw that graphic. It's not the most accurate graphic, but it's still a pretty good idea of what's happening. It's got to do a burn to sort of slow itself down.
Right.
And then it's got to orient itself. And the way it's designed, it's going to come straight back down over the water. And if they have controls of the thrusters, it's going to shift its direction so it can land over the pad.
So right now, do they fire early rockets to get it in the right position, or is it the first stage in free fall right now as we speak?
I believe they do. They're going to they do a boost back phase where they try to bring it back over position to where they want to land it.
Got it.
Because the trajectory where this takes off, I could be mistaken on that. Now think about this. This thing is already almost 200 kilometers away from where.
Yeah, it's from here to Houston, from Houston to Austin away.
Yeah,
just in that time. That's amazing.
Is there like somebody's like, hey guys, I'm gonna get a Coke out of the. What?
And unfortunately right now there's no eyes on the first stage. I mean, the good news is, of course, we're watching the second stage continue to do its thing very effectively.
Yeah, so they have the first stage as it does its fall back down there. And then right now you can see in that graph where they're showing us what's happening as far as at which points could happen. So the first stage, there's a team now running that. So the first stage is doing apparently its boost back, which is to bring it back into the position and align it. And it's got to do, I think it does 2 burns, like one to slow its descent, and then another one shortly before it gets to the pad. But because Orbcomm is paying the bill for this flight, we're following stage 2.
Oh, Orbcomm is the satellites that
they're shooting up basically a constellation of satellites. Man. And so
what brilliant synergy. It's like free massive publicity for Orbcomm.
Oh yeah, and to Orbcomm's credit is that SpaceX says, hey, can we delay the launch to go do the landing? Can we do that? Orbcomm had been very supportive of them on this, and Orbcomm was providing their own social media talking because they're excited to be part of this.
Yeah, sure.
It's also a significant thing for them, to get their satellites in place. And right now. It's fascinating too, because the second stage, it has what they call a constellation of satellites, means that it's going to be sending several of them up.
Yeah. Is like a timed array or just release all at once?
I don't know, Brian.
All right, I believe
I don't know. I wish I had an intelligent answer.
That's fine.
Well, Brian, you see what
we
do.
can't all be. We can't also be rocket scientists on top of everything else.
No.
Wow, 400 kilometers out. This is right now we're watching the second stage. The first stage is what we are excited to see land, but it is in the middle of free falling and. Correct. There's no cameras on it. What we're going to see is they're going to cut over from this to show us live footage of that first stage trying to land. It'll be the first time that a stage of a orbital rocket.
Now, if you look at the altitude, okay, this first stage, or excuse me, the second stage now, it's already at 415 kilometers. We're well into space. This thing is like really, really, really into space now. We're passing, shortly is going to be the altitude of the International Space Station, which is 220 miles. So if you can do the conversion of kilometers, you're a better man than I. Which is just to think that's how far. But the thing that when we think about space and like space stations and stuff is we forget that it's not that far up. It's really not that far up in the sense it's 220 miles, which if you drew a line from the surface of the Earth to where that space station is, the Earth is still massively huge and big around. These things are, 300 times the altitude of the tallest building we'll ever have,
Right.
So, and you look at the glow of that engine bell. Now, in the second stage, it's got the one engine which pushes it there, which if they ever want to try to land the second stage, they're going to have to change the design of the rocket, or they might just wait until they build the BFR, the big fun rocket, because you have to have thrusters to land. You can use the thrusters of the first stage to enable you to land, but you can't do that with the...
Everything continues to go nominal, as we like to say here at SpaceX. Falcon 9 continues to power its way into orbit. The second stage is building up to 4.7 Gs of acceleration. Now, currently, we're about 2 minutes away from shutdown of the second stage engine to get into orbit. Engine performance continues to be nominal. I'm looking at the trajectory. We're going right down the middle of the track. That's good news. We're right where we want to be. For the first stage, you heard about the first boost back burn. Coming up in another minute or so, or coming up very shortly, is the entry burn, and then hopefully the landing burn. And you hear the cheering in the background.
Oh man, look at the joy.
What's happening?
It's on its way. Everyone's super excited out here. That burn's going to last about another 30 seconds or so. Slowing ourselves down as we get closer and closer to the landing pad.
That's good. They have control of the rocket. The thrusters are working, and it's able to bring itself so far, they think, back to the pad.
In order to get that rocket back down to the ground. But it's actually a super complicated thing. Like, you did some cool analogy and some cool math to figure this out,
I tried to figure out how hard this really is. And so I crunched the numbers with the size of the rocket and the size and how high it's going. What's happening with the first stage is it's like launching a pencil over the Empire State Building, having it reverse, come back down, and land on a shoebox on the ground in a windstorm. That's what's happening.
The critical part.
Yeah.
Is that all?
I could throw a pencil over the
Look at these graphics.
Same thing to try to do. And the crazy thing is,
With
from this crazy maneuver.
This extremely energetic.
So you see that little flip over move it's got to do. Oh wow!
Did they see it
from the ground? We're watching this thing come back down.
Burn is going in. Landing legs should be deploying in about 10
Wow.
seconds.
Heading back towards the pad.
That is that
A
first
spaceship
stage
named the Falcon is landing.
down to land and kicking up history in the making, guys.
Touchdown! Holy crap! It landed! Oh my God! They're gonna cut. Ryan, you got to get the shot. Check this out. Check this out. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Holy cow!
Stage 1 is landed. LZ-1, the Falcon is landed. Landing operators moving to procedure. Landing by 100. Section 3 on LZ-1 BNet. Recovery net. Repeat. The Falcon uplifted.
Wow! Wow!
enough rockets to land.
Wow!
And look at that.
657 by 611 kilometers of climb, 37
Watch. End.
Wow. Holy cow, man.
Oh my God.
That has to be just a moment of sheer ecstasy.
God.
I love the fact that we were there. We were there and that's so cool.
So for everybody here with us, let's recap what just happened. If you want to talk about the major achievements in space and aerospace,
are they shouting USA? Oh, wow.
This is incredible. So, in major milestone achievements, reaching space was one, but we won't talk about who did that first.
Right.
Getting to orbit with a satellite, which Sputnik, getting a man in space, Yuri Gagarin, these are all major technological achievements. Landing a booster stage back in that condition, without it dumping into the ocean, without parachute, without doing that, is the most significant milestone we've probably had. You could make the case of landing the space shuttle orbiter like you did, although that wasn't all that reusable, but that was a big piece of significant hardware that landed in a means other than just dumping into the ocean via parachutes or whatever.
Right.
This is
bigger. True reusability. This is the difference between Kitty Hawk versus a 747. The reusable commercial. I mean, we just witnessed the cost to orbit potentially reduced by an order of magnitude.
Well, we watched 70% of the cost become reusable.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean that's huge.
And the technology, of the lower part of bringing something down. Now that we've done that, now it comes into to do second stage. Those second stage velocities those are going at orbital velocity, which means they have to have like a heat shield on the front. This thing doesn't need a heat shield at the speed that it's. I mean, it has a blade of heat, protective, all that, but it's not going.
But it doesn't have to worry about burning up on re-entry the way the second stage would have to.
We live in an age in which rockets are mostly reusable.
That's huge, man. That's huge. This is the beginning of the chances for folks like you and me to experience going into space.
Oh, not for me, Brian.
Oh,
I would be cheering you all on.
Yeah.
But
each satellite weighs about 172 kilograms.
He's like, guys, don't you care about the satellites? We're like, no, we really don't.
Somebody said, yeah, they still have to get the other stuff to orbit in our chat room. Yeah, but we've done that.
Each satellite, when stowed, is about a meter by half a meter tall. So about yay, and straight down. It's about the size of one of the small refrigerators, but that doesn't mean it's nowhere near that simple. Fully deployed, the satellite actually extends out its arms 13 meters, about the size of a telephone pole. Now the 11 satellites are mated in 3 tiers. There are 4.
In the same week, and I saw Star Wars last night, or that same period. In the same week that we saw new Star Wars, we watched a cargo ship called the Falcon land on a landing pad in real life.
It's pretty amazing. They should have named it Docking Bay 94.
Wow.
That's so good. So good.
Mark points out that they ran the video backwards, right? Oh my God!
Satellite separation events.
Satellites are working too, so that's a moneymaker.
Dude, big win for SpaceX today. I mean, big win for all of us.
Yeah.
In order to allow the satellites to have some spacing, to give them their proper location within the constellation that's going to provide that continuous global coverage that Lauren was speaking
Or
about
the
earlier.
NSA to monitor our telephone calls. But forget about that.
Parking orbit about
What's the over-under on a
620
snarky
and
tweet
660
directed towards Jeff
kilometers in
Bezos in 3, 2, 1? Truly, the even more rarest of rare breeds.
How lucky we are to be part of it.
We're just covered in unicorns here, aren't we?
You saw the celebratory thing that Lost Jurassic Park did for Star Wars?
Yeah, that was sweet.
Oh, sweet. Satellites are working. Good.
The next
I'll
two
pretend I care about that as
satellites
much.
I mean, still, we want this to be a moneymaker for
Oh, I
SpaceX.
know.
You'll notice that you can only see one satellite come off the actual payload fairing.
Because we forgot to load them because we needed the extra space for the fuel. Sorry, guys.
Moving in a straight path.
Wow. So, Brian, I believe the way they're going to do it is that they're going to be letting the satellites eject one by one as it flies through space.
I'm glad we got that settled.
Yeah, I'm glad,
Satellite deployment, as you can hear, everyone here is just extremely excited.
How amazing that
Yeah, we both have a
that
first
the ability
stage
to
that is
cover all
sitting on
this is
ground,
just
and
as
also
important
we are
as the
creating
doing
very
it, you know?
Oh, my God. I love, so like SpaceX, their tweets, boost back has started. Stage 2 burn remains nominal. Stage 1 entry startup. And then Stage 1 has landed.
The worst thing that could happen is after this incredible moment, if something goes wrong here, it really would kill the bus. So, we really, want to get this right now just to orient me and everyone else.
Man, this was a full-on, I mean, granted, there's still time to jinx it, but this was in every way a massive success.
And now there's 2 more deployments.
3 more deployments.
3 more deployments?
Yes.
Okay.
3 more deployments, Brian. Let's,
And you're only seeing about 1 go off at a time.
And we're watching, here we are on the internet watching stuff from, we're watching things in space right now. We're watching satellites being ejected from a rocket in space. And this is an entirely private mission, too.
And just remember, that is a live view from space. That is the blackness of space. We are 620 kilometers in space right now.
Nothing is cool. It looks like it's just sitting there calmly, and these things are coming out, and everything's going slowly. When the fact is, these things are going 17,000 miles an hour. And I kind of figured out once that if you're on the beach and something was going this fast out into the ocean, it would go over the horizon and out of sight in a half a second. That's how fast these are going. It's insane.
So
there's
my-
the 4th deployment. It's another successful deployment.
My question for this is Orbcom like, well, since you got your first stage back, we're going to get a discount, right? So our friend Tensor Guy says that second stage engine looks pretty intact. How long until we reuse that? There is a team of SpaceX engineers waiting. They're gonna take that entire thing apart, of course, because they want to figure out
how much damage, how reusable it is. I mean, that's the other thing is yes, we have success on landing that first stage, but how usable is it? I mean, if everything has micro fractures and is unusable, then
but actually, Bri,
yeah,
glad you brought that up, because what's interesting is that whenever they do these rockets, whenever they put them on the pad, they make sure those engines have gone through tons and tons of burns. They want to make sure that the engines work. So there is you're absolutely right. There's the possibility of like fractures and things like that, and they will look for that stuff. But this hardware gets tested so much on the ground before it goes up that the kind of stress that it goes through at launch, is absolutely significant, but it's not the most catastrophic stress that it necessarily has gone through.
Man, that's so fantastic.
And we'll see. And but they want to figure out the reusability of every single part, from the landing legs to everything else. From the landing legs, of course, to the engines and the upper structures to all those mechanisms, the release and stuff. So, I guarantee you their goal will be to try to send this. They're going to take the sucker apart, I'm sure, reassemble it and try to send it up. And then they want to figure out where do you want to measure these, fractures. And remember, when we were at SpaceX, we saw the cameras they used, these industrial robotic arms with these precision cameras that went over literally every square inch of the surface looking for this stuff. So that becomes a new thing. Now, what the problem with the space shuttle was, there were several problems, but one of them is that they said it was reusable, but they had to take the entire thing apart, replace the parts and all that, where it would have been probably cost-effective just to have built a... If you took the reusability, all the technologies to make it reusable, and you just built a bigger booster and a bigger payload thing for it, it probably would have made more sense, which is why ULA's program, the Vulcan rocket, they're just going to try to recover the boosters. They're going to let everything else, the cylinders and all that, fall into the ocean. They think if they can get those boosters back, then they can cut their costs maybe 20% or 30%, or maybe more. I mean, it could be 50 or 60%. So it's incremental. Look at Brian? What are you seeing right now?
I'm seeing a ship that landed. I'm seeing a ship ready for its next takeoff. Look at it. It's all scored and charred, and it's freaking dope, man.
Just like a drive across the desert, Brian. We'll just hose that thing down.
Yeah.
And moving forward, a big part of what SpaceX wants to do is their plans for the BFR, the Big Friendly Rocket, or maybe F stands for something else, involves heavy amounts of reusability, and Elon Musk has held off. He was going to make an announcement about that this year, but then they had the delays from the rocket they lost and whatnot. So we may see announcements about that very, very soon, now that this has been done.
Lazy Dog points out that carbon scoring does add some character. Does look like the Millennium Falcon.
It's real.
Man, wow! I'm so happy that we all tuned in for this together. That was amazing.
Yeah, the two of us who always host the show.
I'm so glad the two of us invented this show.
What happened to what's his face?
I don't know who that is.
All right.
Yeah, man. Dude, I guess we'll go ahead and shut down the stream. Yeah. I'll see you guys later on. I might play some Defense Grid 2 here in a bit. But I'll see you guys later on.
So Jeff Bezos put his quote here. You ready?
Oh, what is it?
Congrats, SpaceX, on landing Falcon's suborbital booster stage. Welcome to the club. Oh, well, what did your boost, Jeff? I forgot. What was your payload on top of yours that it sent?
Dude, Jeff does not have the high ground to be talking that way.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.